All right. This is our Saturday morning cybersecurity mentorship webinar. I am Scotty. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Time, or 8:17 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is held every Saturday, freeconferencecall.com. The channel is CS-Sensei. So everybody's welcome. So let me share about what my week was. Two things went on. I'll start with the first one, which is related to AI. Our organization is planning to do a organization-wide briefing on AI, what we think AI can do for the organization, how we think it can help us, how we think it can, improve the workings of our organization, and ideas that we have to implement it within our organization. Now, I'm not involved in the AI, but when they mention this thing, they're calling it AI 101. They said, if you have any questions about AI, please email our contacts. And I said, okay, I have questions. And I'm configuration management for our organization. I am not cybersecurity. I'm not AI, because they've even appointed a chief AI officer. It's that important. So I sent in 3 questions. And oh, by the way, because I know who I've actually worked with the chief AI officer, I sent it to him directly as well, not just the contacts where they told us to, but I said, I know this is coming to you anyway, so here it is. I asked, for example, there are ChatGPT, among others, when they began by getting all of their data together to put into ChatGPT, they did what was called scraping of the internet. And what that means is they went out to every publicly accessible website that they could get to, hundreds of thousands of websites, and just took as much data as they could off these websites. As a result, some of the data that they got was outdated. Some of the data that they got was conflicting. One says 3 and one says 4. Which one's correct? The AI didn't know. It just grabbed it all. And so I asked, what are we doing to ensure that the data that's being ingested into our AI solutions is going to be accurate and current? That was the first thing. Then the second thing I asked about, let me see if I remember. Well, I'll go to the third one. No, I don't remember. But the third question I had was, back in the days when I was working with DoD, I spent, 20 some odd years in and around, or 18 years in and around the Pentagon, plus 10 years in the Air Force as an enlisted member. So I have a lot of DoD experience. DoD used to use what they called it EEFI, Essential Elements of Friendly Information. And what that is individual data elements or information bits that by themselves are not sensitive. But when you put them all together, that becomes sensitive information. And I'll give a real quick example. Somebody is about to book a charter flight to Saudi Arabia. Someone else is saying that this particular organization is preparing to deploy. Someone else orders 70 pairs of desert combat boots or something like that. You could say, it looks like this group is being deployed to this area because the group is about this big and they ordered this many combat boots, etc. You put all of those together and we're talking about troop movements, which is usually quite sensitive. So EEFI, I put it into the cybersecurity and AI format, and I said, once we aggregate all this data together in our AI, are we comfortable that we are not going to be able to have information pulled from the AI that constitutes information that should not be disclosed or is pre-disclosure or, those sorts of things, private information, etc.? I said, what are we doing to ensure that this AI is, not going to be able to spit out information that is considered classified? And I gave I guess, probably the worst possible example. I said, the secretary of our department traveling overseas in a non-supportive area, I don't know, like Yemen or something. What if our secretary goes to that area? His or her travel itinerary could be considered very sensitive to somebody who's looking for it. So what are we doing to make sure those types of controls are in place? So we'll see what comes from that. But the question you got to ask yourself is all data relative? Is all data important? Is all data valuable? And the answer is no. So how does the AI know the difference? Are we properly populating our AIs? So we'll see. I may get a response, I may not. But my question was along the lines of, because we've seen these horror stories online where they're like Air Canada, where somebody called, went to their website and their AI popped up and said, would you like to chat with our AI chatbot? And this person asked questions and the chatbot responded inaccurately and cost this person money, and he took Air Canada to court and won the money. In the court, Air Canada, they published a statement that said the AI is a separate legal entity and is responsible for its own information. Air Canada basically said, don't trust the AI chatbot that we have put together for you. So, they lost that court case because Air Canada established the chatbot and Air Canada populated the chatbot, and the chatbot gave incorrect information and the customer said, this is wrong. So that's the sort of thing that you have to be aware of. All data is not good data. I guess that's a way of saying it. I'll give one more example. We're only 25 minutes in. I'll give one more example. When ChatGPT was out there, oh, cool. All right. Thank you, Chris. That's a White House order on AI. When ChatGPT was being used and they scraped the internet, there were one particular site, let's say, that was for medical papers. And medical papers are typically submitted by somebody who writes a paper. Could be a research paper or whatever, but they submit these medical papers for publication. But in nearly every case I've heard of, that paper goes to what's called a peer review. And that means someone else takes a look at your paper and validates and substantiates your approach, your data, your outcomes, and any suppositions you make. A peer reviews your input and then it's published. So the paper is submitted to a peer review, and then it's published. Well, ChatGPT had scraped everything and got a bunch of non-peer reviewed submissions and published them. I'm sorry, they were available in ChatGPT and carried the same weight as those that had been peer reviewed. So the question is any submission accurate? Maybe not. You don't know. But a peer-reviewed paper It's submitted typically by an MD or a PhD and is reviewed by another MD or PhD in that particular area, and then it's published. That, to me, sounds more accurate, more valid, more usable than something that's just submitted by one person or one team. So just something to think about. That was one of the fallacies of ChatGPT. It scraped everything. So if you say, is milk $2 a gallon now? What is now? You know, what it scraped could have been from 4 years ago. Milk's $1 a gallon. You know, so you got to be careful. So good stuff. It was enjoyable thinking about what AI could do for us and what challenges there might be. So good stuff. That was AI. That was my week, and I wanted to share something else that I have done this week, and I think you all know about this. I finished up my, I'm sorry, somebody have something to say? Okay, I thought I heard somebody's microphone. I finished up my 4-week training course that I conducted down here in Arizona for local residents. And I had about 40 people in this training, 2 different training sessions, but I taught the same stuff. And this is, and I'll just put it up on the screen so you all can see it. This was the, oops, all right, let me go down to, there it is, Cyber Safety for Retirees. Now, there is nothing in this briefing that is proprietary. All of this information I obtained from the public, and then I put my perspective on it, my spin, you know, this is what you should look for, and this is not such a big deal, or whatever. So because I did all this research, I am happy to share it with all of you. Feel free to ask me for any slide decks that I have, and I'll answer yes. We can, you know, customize them for you, but these are the slide decks that I put together for this, and it was a total of 4 hours of instruction. And if you take a look on the screen, we're targets talking about retirees, because I was 65 last year, so I'm 66. Then everything's interconnected, why that matters, and we talked about, you know, phones and Wi-Fi and Internet of Things and security cameras, and all of those things now operate to where they can frequently talk to each other, and why that may not be a good thing. Next one, how to spot and identify malicious emails or texts. Don't delete malicious emails. Now, that one always catches people's eye. Don't delete those malicious emails. Well, what are they supposed to do with it? If you're telling me don't delete them, what do I do? And that's where I taught them. I basically said, report them to the FTC, mark them as spam, etc., block senders, etc. Don't just delete, because if you delete it, you are now leaving that same avenue open for the next guy to come in and send you junk. So that was kind of fun. Some of these headlines are designed to catch attention. Your worst enemy and your greatest tool. Your worst enemy is haste, where they're saying, oh, you have to answer within the next 4 hours. Or they have a little countdown timer, only 15 minutes left to win your free cooler, or whatever. The people that are attacking you are trying to get you to respond without fully thinking it through. So your worst enemy is haste, and your greatest tool is patience, where you can sit back, grab a cup of tea, take a look at it again, and say, does this really mean what it says it is? Those sorts of things. Misinformation. People call and they say, hi, this is, you know, the county sheriffs, and you know, we're doing a fundraiser or whatever. How do you know it's the county sheriffs? And they're even doing what they call deep fake AIs now where they have taken voices, and now those voices can be used to write things. You guys saw that, what I did on the Facebook page, where I shared that link about the deep fake that the lady got. She recognized her mother's voice in this deep fake. Said, "Hi, I'm stuck on the side of the road. Can you just give your credit card information to the tower and, I can get going?" It was a deep fake. So just something to think about. When you're teaching people, teach them to be critical and to take their time. That's a good approach. Week 3 was a heavy week. I talked about passkeys, passphrases, password managers, and multi-factor authentication. Here's the fun thing about it, though. I didn't teach them how to turn them on. I teach them why it's valuable to do so, and then I directed them to the websites for all of those owners, Microsoft, Apple, Android, Google, how to turn on multi-factor authentication or passkeys. I didn't teach them how, but I taught them why it's valuable. And then I gave them the links where they could go, and I said, it's probably a really good thing for you to go do this, and left it at that. So remember, you don't have to teach to be valuable. You can say, this is important for you to learn, and then give them the link where they can go learn. That's also helpful. And then this last week, finished up threat actors. I talked about nation states. I talked about insider threats. I talked about cyber criminals and why they all work together. Some want to get in and get your stuff immediately. Some have patience, and they could take months in your system just doing very slow data acquisition until something happens, and then your data is gone or encrypted or whatever. So I mentioned that to them. I said, not everybody's the same. Good online safety practices, don't reuse passwords, those sorts of things. It's a statistic that 22% of us reuse our passwords. That's a statistic. You can show that to people and say, don't be one of those 22%. Also, the Council on Aging, the United States Council on Aging, pointed out that for the seniors, 65 and over, 19 out of 20 times that they are attacked or capitalized or identity theft or whatever, 19 out of 20 times they don't report it. So what I do is I say, don't be those 19, be that one, because that helps law enforcement so we can discourage these folks from doing it again to us. Easy stuff to talk about. Now, then I talked about cyber safety in the home, change your default passwords for your local stuff, consider a guest wireless at your house, and what to do if you suspect you've been hacked. Report it, contact your financial institution. None of this is magic. And did you notice almost none of it is technical? Almost none of it was technical. And yet it was 4 hours worth of beefy instruction that they were able to take and immediately put to good use. And this was the resource page. I wanted to show this to you. This was the resource page. I sent them, or I put it up on every slide presentation. I showed a QR code that pointed to this. And I said, here are resources that you can access. And in those resources, if you look down further, it says, safety features or security features you probably already have. They're built into your phone or they come with your service. iPhone, Google Chrome, Microsoft Windows, Android, T-Mobile, AT&T. Stuff that I've researched, I put it here. I didn't tell them what to do, but I told them where to go to find what to do. You do not have to teach the technical part to be incredibly beneficial to the people around you. Passkeys, absolutely. Tell everybody to enact passkeys. And I pointed out in my briefings, I said, Microsoft, Apple, Google, all say, please use passkeys. So why would you not? And then I point them to iPhone, iPad, Mac, Android, Microsoft, how to set up passkeys for your systems. This is one, how to recognize and report spam, phishing, and other malicious texts from the actual service providers themselves. Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, Boost, Consumer Cellular, Cox Mobile, their websites, not me, their websites. Victim resources, National Crime Victim Resource Center, etc. Other resources, our mentorship, our incident response team. Hey, if you guys are too busy to report your stuff to the FTC, forward it to us and we'll do it on your behalf. Okay? That's why I keep telling this team I can always get more spam, more phishing, more messages that you can send to the Federal Trade Commission on a customer's behalf and get experience as an incident response technician or analyst, incident response analyst. Okay? And so there was nothing magic in this, but it was information that they considered to be so valuable. I'm not kidding you. They applauded me when I finished this class. And a couple people pushed money in my pocket. So the point of this is, you can be valuable today. You can be helpful to the people around you today, but you have to start by identifying yourself as a cybersecurity professional. Don't say I'm an aspirant. Don't say I'm trying to get a cybersecurity job. Start by saying, in your mind, you can say, I know a little bit more than most people in this room, and I want to share with you. I want to help you be safer as well. See what I'm saying? It does not require you to have a PhD in information security. It doesn't require you to have a degree in cybersecurity. It doesn't require you to have certifications. It just requires you to care. Make sense? Anybody have any comments on that? Thoughts?
Scotty, I have two thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Thought number one is I threw some artificial intelligence links for those who are interested in the artificial intelligence.
Thank you.
I'm doing a little study of that based on the email you saw, the same email that you saw as well. And it's something neat to look into. And us as cybersecurity professionals, any new technology is an opportunity to learn how to secure it. And the best way to secure something is to know what it is in the first place that you're getting yourself into. And that's always great sage advice to those who want to become cybersecurity professionals is always learn, always keep your mind open, because once you stop learning, that's when the game ends. Digress. Second one, you said teaching. I think a lot of people get scared of going up in front and having to talk about what they're doing. They coin different terms about it, called imposter syndrome, stage fright, you name it.
Yep.
One of the great guidances they do with networking and professional development is once you know something, go ahead and see if you can communicate it to another person to teach it.
Right.
Because that will change your mindset. And even if the communication model that I've learned in project management classes, where you say something and you want to present something, you get more knowledge getting feedback from other people. That point of failure, or quote unquote looking like you don't know, is part of the learning process. Now, should you go out and spew falsehoods and lies. No, that's not a great thing, but you need to realize what's your audience and what your scenario is. And if you're in that teaching seat and you want to learn something and have that attitude of I'm here to learn while teaching, that can only benefit your career tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Those are my thoughts about that. But great, Scotty. You did look like you did an awesome job with that, and you're probably inspiring me to do some volunteer work as well too, and teach around.
Yeah, and that's another point. How this began. Let me give you a bit of information about that. Number one, I am here in a 55 plus development, and it's about 500 units. Sounds like a lot, but down in Arizona, like 40% of them are empty because they have what they call snowbirds that are up in Minnesota and Michigan and whatever, and they come down here when it's too cold up there. They'll come down here and spend a few months down in the warmth here. It's warmer than it is up in Michigan, and then they'll go back to their homes. So when we say 500, it's not really 500. I've gotten probably 40 or 50 of those to contact me at some point in the last couple of years. But what I did was I went into our newsletter that is published every month, and I offered free tech support. And the reason is I don't feel inclined to charge for it. And also, and I point this out to them, if you don't like what I've done, I'll give you your money back. That's always part of the fun discussion here. I do this stuff for free. And if you don't like it, you haven't lost a dime. So I started with free tech support. And then, one of my neighbors was in the midst of being scammed and almost lost her entire life savings till she hung up the phone with this guy and picked up the phone and called me. And I said, wow, we old people are really victims in this, and we are a target group. So I started saying, I need to try and get the word out. So I started teaching in this area. I've taught to the Kiwanis Club. The American Legion wants to talk to me. I've talked to local as well as statewide church groups. I talked to retirement groups. And this time I went to the Green Valley Recreation is what they're called. They have 14 locations around this area. And I taught officially in their classroom this time. And I did it because I want to help people. I'm not doing it because I want to point out how much I know. The issue is there are people who know less than me, and they're being victimized every day, and I feel bad about that. So that's what gave me the initiative. And when I went to Green Valley and said, I'm volunteering to do this, their program manager said, oh yeah, we'd love to have you do this as many times as you want. We'll put you on the calendar. So I now have this 4-week, 4 hours training. Whenever I want to do it, I just say, turn it on, and in another month, they will get students for me. And these students are paying, I think it's $20. Of course, Green Valley Rec takes 30% off the top. So I get, 70% of that. Big deal. I'm not doing it for money. But then I thought about here in my development. And I said, I offer free tech support. I've had numerous classes up at the clubhouse where they come and sit into the classes. But I said, let me do what I'm teaching at Green Valley Rec for $20 for free here in my development. So this group was packed and this group was packed. And the folks that I taught for free, they were the ones that were giving me money at the end of the class. So in the end, everybody benefits. And I will tell you, if anybody wants my slide decks, I am happy to share them. Customize them for yourself. Please put down that you are a cybersecurity mentee and you're with CyberSecurity Sensei, and you can even use my professional information to open some doors. You know, I've been doing this for 34 years now. I sort of know my way around the cybersecurity circles. And you can say these slide decks were put together by our founder, Scotty Ward. And away you go. You are now briefing as if you are a member of this group, which you are. If you do that, you can add another line to your experience in your resume that says you are a Speakers Bureau member and you brief local organizations on cyber security and cyber safety topics. Wow. Can you imagine when somebody, and I've done this numerous times with you, somebody puts in a resume that says, I've got this degree, this certification, hire me. And then you get in there and you say, maybe you have a degree, maybe you have a certification. Everybody should be working on your Security Plus. At a minimum, get your Security Plus certification. You can't avoid that. That is your way in. But you say, okay, I've got Security Plus, but I'm a cybersecurity mentee. I have helped to put together slides for the Speakers Bureau. I have briefed local groups. I offer, for my family, I am the resident technical expert, and I helped my, cousin get away from a scam, or these sorts of things. You put that all into your resume, and it says not only somebody who has the technical chops to do this, but it's somebody who does it because they want to make things better. Chris, go ahead.
For the Security Plus exam, if you don't have the $300 to $400 ready to go, another two guidance I have for you. First off is to get your little Security Plus textbook. Scotty, I'm sure you have it somewhere. You can have it show everybody what you can. Just find any Security Plus textbook, start reading it.
It's not right here.
Yeah, but that's one option. Second option, and ISC2 is still doing their 1 million cybersecurity training for free. They provide the training for free. It's similar to the Security Plus. $50. I believe the $50 to get the certification is worth it because ISC Square has chapter meetings. You network there, and that also is a good resource for you for your technical knowledge as well. I believe it's worth the $50 in the end if you do ISC too. The training's free. To get the cert, to get the credential, is $50 every year. Which reminds me, I need to renew it.
Yeah. That is excellent, Chris. The Security Plus now is, was it $370 or something to take the exam? Twyla, you've got an exam coming up. Isn't it around $370? Twyla?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Aren't you preparing to take your exam?
I took it already and passed.
That's right. How much was it?
I did it through my school, but I think it's like $400 if you pay it on your own.
Yeah.
I had a voucher from the school.
Very good. Yeah. If you can get a voucher, go ahead and do it. Yeah. But otherwise.
Option number 3, Udemy is has their sales, $20 for training courses.
Right. And Professor Messer, he's free.
I use both of those for my practice, and study questions.
Very good. So there are resources out there that will help you be successful. You just got to exercise some initiative and go get them. And set yourself up some time every day or every week and make progress toward this completion. That's how it works. Chris, when you made the decision to go after your CISSP, how long did you give yourself to study to get it?
Ooh, 2 years. If it was on and off 2 years. Initial
On and off
start,
2 years.
it was an hour. Yep. It was about an hour each day when I can find the time for it. I didn't get totally serious about it until the new year when when my wife and I found the budget for it, because it's an $800 test. That's when I started getting serious about it.
Very good. Okay.
2 hours initial start to just, hey, get the materials, start the studying, and know the scope of the test and what they're asking for.
Yep. I don't know if you guys just saw the chat from Jim and Connor. They just bought 2 courses off Udemy, and they're 85% off. So Udemy is a good one. udemy.com, I think, but it's Udemy, like Academy.
If you go on Udemy and you see it's $300, wait a few days, come back to it. Yep. It'll be a discount.
Yep. And there are courses on Udemy that are free. So watch for them. Once you get on their mailing list, they will send you announcements that are of interest to you. You know, if you're not interested in learning about, ecology or something like that, I think you can say what you're interested in, and they will send you announcements that are focused on those types of courses. Brand new courses they've announced, discounts, closeouts or whatever. We're getting rid of this course. For now, everybody can get it for free or $10 or whatever. Udemy is helpful. Here's the important thing. You have to set time to use it. If you buy a study guide and it sits on your shelf collecting dust, you haven't used the resource. So it takes, number 1, the resource, and number 2, your commitment to use that resource and make some value out of it.
I'll add a third thing, Scotty. Make sure you go on the website for the test, know what the scope of the test is, get the objectives. That's where a lot of people make mistakes, is they get a study guide, go into deep detail about it, but then don't realize what the scope of the test is. And the study guides are usually written well enough where they're towards the right scope, but make sure you get the right objectives matched with the textbook scope and match the two. That will help you in your success.
Right. I remember when many years ago when I was studying for my Security Plus, it literally said, this particular topic, you're going to have 3 questions. This particular topic, you're going to have 5 questions. So I started with all the 5-question ones and did those first. Then I went to the 4 questions. Then I went to the 3 questions because I said I want to get the highest percentage possible. So I started with the sections that had the most questions. Whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. If you want to start from A and work your way through Z, that's fine. But otherwise, just find a method that works for you and then pursue it to its completion. And don't stop. Don't try and change horses halfway through. Keep working on keep your end in mind. We always do this. I don't know if you guys remember this, but for many years, I was PMP certified. I was a certified PMP. I let it lapse in the last year or 2 because I'm not doing project management to speak of. But for like 16 years, I was PMP. One of the things they teach you in the PMI, which is the organization that gives this PMP certification, they said, start with the end in mind. In other words, don't get started and say, well, I think I'll just start on this. No, I think I'm going to take an exam and get this certification. So what do I have to do along the way? That way, when you start, you have the full scope in mind of where you're going to end up. And that will help you also to stay focused and keep enthusiastic while you're going through it. Your time is valuable. So allot that time so that you can be successful. Okay, that's it. We're out of time, folks. I hope you all enjoyed it this week. We had, everybody's having fun, and that's important as well. We're not doing this because it's hard. We're doing this because it's enjoyable. And I will tell you, I got great fulfillment when I stood there in this group of people and they clapped at the end of a class. When have you seen people clap at the end of a class? They appreciated it so much. And all I was giving them is, this is why it's important. Here's where you go to do it. That's all they needed. And off they went, So try and make a difference. It does help this world. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk later, I'm sure. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Bye, everybody.